How are
Okay,
you?
yeah, whenever you're ready.
Everything going good? Summer treating you
Every,
well?
yeah, the life's treating me well. I hope you're doing all right. You're a junior over at Valley Christian, right? I had
Oh,
just seen on your Twitter profile.
yeah, I forgot to update my profile. I'm a senior now, so
Okay.
almost ready to get out of here. But yeah, it's so funny because Aptos. I've been doing junior guards over there for the last 10 years or so. Um, Still go over there all the time. My girlfriend lives over there, so in La Selva Beach. Actually, what part of Aptos are you in?
So I actually don't live in Aptos. I live up in Sacramento, but
Oh wow.
basically,
Okay.
I just announced for Aptos football, and because I'm from the area, but I had moved up here for college originally about 5 or 6 years ago, and then I came back to Aptos for about a year during COVID when I had graduated high school, and um, I had interned at the state capitol over in Sacramento in my last quarter of my uh, last year of college, and I decided that I wanted to maybe try and make a living up here. And I actually had moved up here before I got the opportunity to announce Aptos football. And basically, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a thing on the screen that says the meeting is being recorded. It's completely blocking your face.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Oh no, that was me. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That
Okay.
was that was that was just like the system telling me that the meeting was being recorded, but it's fine. But it's
Okay.
fine.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Um, so basically, I got the job announcing for Aptos football by through one of my old teachers.
Okay.
Guy's name is Joel Domhoff. He taught me a class my junior year of high school called ROP Sports Occupations, which was essentially just any sort of field in the sports industry that had to do with uh, like a game day production, whether it was announcing a game, or we learned about concepts that were there was a lot of athletic training here and there as well. And I had actually called done play by play for an Aptos football game um, my junior year because it was part of the class. It was like a project,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, so I did the play-by-play with one of my lifelong friends, and it was, I tell you what, it was the first actual game that I had announced. So, and I have personally high standards for myself as an announcer, even when I wasn't officially an announcer. I was,
Right.
I grew up loving sports. I always was interested to see what the commentators would say and all that. And, even as a little kid, I was just like, you know what? This is something that I could do one day. And so I called that game, and I've been, um, and a couple years ago, in 2021, I had gotten an email from that teacher saying that, oh, hey, the old Aptos High School announcer is retiring, and we're looking for a replacement. And I thought about you. You would be perfect. And initially, I was like, excuse me. Initially, I was like, I'm not sure that I could make that work. Living up here in Sacramento and
Yeah.
having to drive down. But I looked at the logistics and realized that it was, I could definitely make it work. Like I just have to get, a few hours or a few days off of work. Like I wouldn't even have to miss like a full day on a Friday. And I was just like, okay, I can drive down and take this opportunity because you never know when an opportunity like that
Exactly.
can come along. And I think that just overall, the best piece of advice I could give for you as a young broadcaster is to take any sort of opportunity that's in front of you, because again, you don't know what it might lead to. It could be something as small as just as an internship, or maybe working in food service at any sort of any sort of team around here. But I know of several people who started as interns with the Giants, and that led them to eventually to a job to where they were leading a certain department. But yeah, anyways, back to the announcing. So I get down to Aptos and I start, and I kind of have a decent idea as to what I'm going to do because I had actually announced games beforehand. I was When I was back at UC Davis, I just kind of did a little under the table PA announcing for a
Right.
few select games. Like I did soccer, I did hockey, I did field hockey, I did women's volleyball. But I was just kind of going through some personal stuff, so I ended up not continuing with that opportunity. But and part of me wishes that I could have stuck with it. But the fact that I have this opportunity now to announce for Aptos football is just amazing. And um, this is going to be my third year doing this. And what I'm hoping to change up this year is I'm going to have more of a professional routine. Like
Right.
rather than just kind of winging it and having a copy of the rosters and all that, and they'll usually just give me some paper, like a piece of paper with certain announcements that I might have to do.
Right.
But but last year people were telling me, "Oh, you're the best announcer I've ever heard. You're one in a million. You could go so far." And you know, um, that made me want to really take on this role as a professional. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Um, my so the routine that I'm planning on having this year is I'm planning on using a special kind of cough drop for my voice to kind of keep it in shape,
Right.
drinking hot tea during and before and during games, because what I do is I actually announce the JV and the varsity on the same day, so that
Right.
can certainly put a strain on my voice. So you got to keep it in shape. You got to make sure it's always in as pristine condition as possible,
Absolutely.
because I'm the one, I'm the one speaking, and it's got to sound good. And yeah, and what I also like to do is I like to kind of warm up my vocal cords a little bit. So I'll do like some vocal exercises, or just talking here and there and all that, just because the vocal cords, you got to treat them like a muscle, because they
Absolutely.
are a muscle.
Yeah.
And you got to you got to take care, and you have to take care of muscles. I mean, you're an athlete, right? What sports do you play?
I play basketball and volleyball.
Yeah. So whenever you play basketball and volleyball, or even doing any sort of physical exercise, you stretch and you warm up beforehand.
Yeah.
And
You don't just run out there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's so that's kind of just how I see it. But um, yeah, so I'm going into my third year of announcing for Aptos football, and I'm just so excited to be doing this for a program that has meant so much to me for the past 12 or 13 years. I think I told you on Twitter, but I had actually played freshman and JV football uh, for Aptos, and I
Right.
was going to play varsity, but I just didn't really enjoy playing the actual game as much anymore, and I kind of
Yeah.
just wanted to focus on my grades. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really the best at it. But if it weren't for me deciding to hang it up after JV year, I wouldn't have been able to call that game in my junior year, which essentially led me to becoming an announcer. So yeah, yeah, man, do you have any questions for me, like,
Yeah.
or anything
Absolutely.
like that? Yeah,
Yeah. If
let's
it's
hear 'em.
okay with you, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So the first question really off that is like, I'm curious, just a little on the curiosity side, like when did you said like as a kid you kind of knew this was something you want to do, but like what moment or moments in particular made you have that passion where it's like, this is something that I really want to achieve and maybe spend the rest of my life doing?
Well, as a kid, I really liked, of course, I like to watch cartoons like any other kid
Yeah.
would. But the thing about me and cartoons is that I like to imitate the voices that the certain cartoon voices that they made, whether it was on SpongeBob or Jimmy Neutron with like Carl Weezer and all that. I can do a pretty good Carl Weezer impression if you know that show.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, my scapula.
Sounds pretty good to me.
But yeah, and I always kind of had a knack for being able to imitate any sort of voice that I heard. So it kind of just started to come naturally. And growing up in elementary school, I would always want to do any sort of announcement like over the loudspeaker. I
Right.
think I remember actually getting to do that once, and that was one of the first times where people said like, "Hey, you've got a good voice. Like you've got potential for this." And part of it also was just my love of sports. You can
Yeah.
see I'm a Niner fan. You can see the flag right up there.
Well, I don't know if I
Um,
agree with that, my man.
oh, who's your team?
So I only live like 20 minutes from the Niner Stadium, actually, but I'm a Broncos fan.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think they'll have a better year with Sean Payton at the helm.
It
I,
can't
I
be
don't, I
worse.
think, yeah, I think some people are just not meant to be NFL coaches. And I think Nathaniel Hackett is one of those people, but he's more of a coordinator guy more
Yeah.
than anything. But yeah, so, and, just my love of sports, 49ers, Giants,
The Giants.
growing up in the area, I'd go to a lot of Giants games with my grandfather growing up, and 49er games. And, it was just something that we bonded over when I was a kid. So I would say it's a combination of, me being able to, do things with my voice, have a good
Right.
vocal range, and just my love of sports overall just made me want to, pursue this as like a kind of a side career. But maybe it'll pay the bills one day.
Yeah, and then this is really cool getting to talk to you, especially is because that's something that I'm really considering doing is when I go to college is double majoring in both communications and finance, because I know that this sports broadcasting industry is a very thin field, right? So
Hmm.
if that doesn't work out, I have still have a degree in another major, which brings me to the next question is, you mentioned you went to UC Davis. I'm curious, did you major in communications or something from another field?
So I actually had come into UC Davis as a communications major, but I had decided that I had already had my associates in communications, and I just felt like a lot of the coursework was just the same stuff in every class, for lack of a better term, for like all the communication
Right.
classes. Because I went to community college over at Cabrillo, and
Okay.
I don't know if you know how it works, but you get what's called a 2-year associate's degree
Yes.
when you
Yes.
graduate, and then you transfer to a university. That's just kind of the
Yeah.
route I
The
did. But
credits and all that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I got my AA in communications over Cabrillo, and I decided at one point that I wanted to switch to economics, which ended up not working out. But another thing that I have always been interested in is history, US history specifically. And I was originally going to um, have have a history minor in addition to the economics major that I was trying to pursue. But it just ended up, again, I'm not really much of a math guy, so that didn't
That's
really
all of us.
come to fruition. But my counselor had suggested, "Oh, what about history?" And I had grown up going out to Washington D.C. a lot as a kid. My aunt used to live out there, so we would
Oh,
go do all the stuff like all the see all the monuments and the memorials. But um, yeah, so I do have an AA in communications, but my bachelor's is in history, which I think is perfect for me because you can do a lot of stuff with a liberal arts degree. And I got to study something that I loved, and I yeah, but yeah, that's kind of my educational background right there.
yeah, yeah. It's doing what you love, right? I'd rather do something I love than be unhappy 7 hours a day at work doing
Uh-huh.
something I absolutely despise, right? Just for the money. But I mean, obviously, money financially, it's very important to be able to support yourself and all that. But of course, the tendency is just wanting to do something that you enjoy, because the cliche saying, as overused as it is, you don't work a day in your life if you love what you do.
Hmm.
So, it just makes me happy to hear about people who have tried different things. And like you said, you tried a couple different fields and then you found a couple things that you really like. And I guarantee that's probably what I'm going to have to do as well. Just because once you get to college, you think you have everything set in place when you're in high school. Once you get to college, you think maybe these aren't the classes I really want to take, like you
Uh-huh.
experienced in communications. It's just very repetitive. But you experiment with different things. And it's just a matter of finding your niche, right? And what you really enjoy. So I'm happy to hear that you're enjoying what you're doing for sure. My next question though would be what is your favorite and least favorite part of being the broadcaster for Aptos?
Um, the least favorite part, I would say, well, that might be a hard question because it's my passion. I love what I do. But um, I guess my least favorite part would be kind of the strain that it puts on my voice. Like I said before, but part of that. But that's honestly the reason why I'm gonna try and take better care of my voice with the game day routine. So you know, if I had to pick one, I would say that it would be the work that puts on my vocal cords. But I'm definitely going to be getting around that. But I just love announcing. I love what I do. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that because like I've talked to a lot of different people from all different kinds of sports. I haven't talked to a ton of football broadcasters, mostly basketball and baseball, but for the most part, everyone that I've talked to has told me like, you know what, for the most part, like there's long hours and like you said, it strains your voice. But for the most part, I've had the audacity of calling this a job for however many years, right? I mean, it's so funny. It's kind of reassuring in a sense to hear almost everyone I've spoken to say, like this is a great job. Like I love doing this. And of course there are cons, but I'd say there's less cons to this than pretty much any other job. And that's
uh,
always good to hear for sure.